two, one. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another exciting film journey here on Delusions of Grandeur. I am one of your hosts, but today we are going on not only about one, but two films today. And from what I understand, it has something to do with a dessert. So, why don't you, Kroll, tell us a little bit about the movies that we're going to be discussing today?
Well, today we are discussing 1999's American Pie, and then its sequel, 2001's American Pie 2. So these movies are absolutely hilarious and raunchy, and if you haven't seen them by now, what were you waiting for? That's what I have to say. Hey, Dave, do you know what IMDb says about it?
Sure. Let me bring it up real fast here. That way, let's see, go. Okay, so the first one says, oh, this is real simple. 4 teenage boys enter a pact to lose their virginity by prom night. And I'll get into what IMDb says about the second one once we attack it. So, did you want me to continue to say who was involved and all that jazz? Or
yeah, I may as well.
Okay, so Jason Biggs plays Jim. Chris Klein plays Oz. Thomas Ian Nichols plays Kevin. Jennifer Coolidge plays Stifler's mom. Shannon Elizabeth plays Nadia. Allison Hannigan, also Cutie, plays Michelle, who would later eventually move on to play in Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And of course, Eugene Levy, who the first time I saw Eugene Levy was in Splash with Tom Hanks, and so on and so forth. We've got Natasha Lyonne and Chris Owen, and of course we can't forget Sean William Scott and Tara Reid, very young Tara Reid. I'll hand it back to you, Kroll, to bring us into our first impressions.
Yeah, so it's hard to believe this movie is 25 years old now. I remember when it came out, so raunchy, and then the sequels. When I say sequels, I mean two and the American Wedding and American Reunion. I know there was the Bandcamp ones, but I have honestly not seen them. They might be okay. I don't know. They just didn't really appeal to me as much.
Yeah, believe it or not, I believe there are 9 movies in this franchise.
Yeah, so I haven't seen 5 of them because those were they're all American Pie Bandcamp, right?
There were 3 that came after this, and then 3 more that carried the name. So there are, in fact, like 6 out there that I know I have not seen, but I'm pretty sure there is a 9-movie collection out there.
Oh, you haven't seen Reunion?
I've seen Reunion.
You haven't seen Wedding. You haven't seen Wedding.
I'm not sure I saw bits and pieces of Wedding myself.
Wow, okay. Wedding was the 3rd one.
Yep.
Okay, so let's go to our first impressions. Well, Dave, may as well start with you since you started talking about it. So.
Oh God, I know I didn't see this in the theaters, but I know it was very, very popular among a lot of people, and I know it started a whole. I mean, a lot of comedy films to me started back with a National Lampoon, the magazine, and then into the movies and whatnot. And I feel like the American Pie franchise is like the spawn of the National Lampoon movies. So you have an interesting cast of characters here. They all, um, I feel like the comedy that is like in these movies are kind of like it goes similar to like the White Castle movies or Van Wilder, which is part of the
White
National
White
Lampoon crap.
White
Um,
Castle came way after American Pie.
well, yeah. I'm just mentioning movies like
I mean, the guy who said MILF is the lead in that one.
so. I feel like these are in that ilk. Jason Biggs. At first, I thought he was like the kid in Rushmore, but when I looked it up, it was not. So I remember watching the first movie at least a couple of times. I remember watching the second one, which I'm sure we'll get into maybe only once, which I'll repeat it, but later. But um, there are some classic scenes in here in here that are hilarious. Um, and I'm not sure they're as hilarious now to me, but they were hilarious like then when I watched it. I feel like they were raunchy at the time, but you know, uh, I also feel like there have been other raunchy movies as well since then, but it's a well put together high school dramedy with kids in their adolescence learning about sex in an odd way, and I guess in a sense now that I've seen it as I'm older, especially the one chick in the musical in the choir. I feel like she was way too young for Oz, way too young. Like he seemed like he was the oldest kid of the bunch. I mean, he was muscular. I mean, he was a jock. I
They
mean,
were all the same. They were all the same age. He just
uh, he didn't seem like it,
well,
and she
in
was
the
just.
obviously the actor was probably older, but they were all the same age.
It just didn't seem like it to me. I feel like she was like maybe 14 to his like 18 or whatnot, and I don't know. It felt a little off to me now. Maybe not
She,
that it was creepy. I mean,
she didn't
I
look,
think I just feel like I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I just feel like she was too young to have romantic interests, and maybe that's just how I feel. So,
she was
but
a,
that's me.
she was a senior, and she didn't look 14 to me. So I don't know how many 14-year-olds look like her, but okay. Me, was it Mia Savanti?
Yeah, I think so. And I feel like I don't know. In my since I'm turning 40 this month Monday, I feel like I'm getting there to my age because I feel like it was an inappropriate relationship guess to me, with how young she looked and how old he looked. So that may be just me. So um, it doesn't have to be you guys or anything like that. I just feel that way. So who wants to go next, or did you want to choose who went next? Pretty much done.
Go ahead, Tim.
So no, it's not my first time seeing it. I've seen it on and off over the years since it came out. It was at one time, not long after it came out, it was a big thing. Everybody watched it. That was a big thing always, especially at like parties or whatever. It would be on in the background, but it was fun. You know, I think I agree a little bit with what David said about that. It's not. It was funnier then, I think, than it is now. I mean, there's still some humor to it, and I still think things that there are things that are funny about it. But I think it was funnier then than it is now. But it still wasn't that bad of a watch.
No, it wasn't, and I'm sure we'll get into it later. The soundtrack was pretty fucking awesome. I think I get more into the music of behind both all of these movies than I do the comedy in it.
But yeah, it was nice. It was enjoyable. It was neat to watch it again after it's been quite a long time since I've seen it. So
Alrighty. Uh, did we want to go over to Boris then?
Okay. Well, much to my shame, this was the first time I watched these movies from the beginning to the end. There are some of those, as I have mentioned before, that I occasionally stumble upon on TV and see only a part of. But yeah, this is the first time I saw the whole thing. And I must say, I enjoyed them better than I expected when I read the synopsis on IMDb. When I read it was something about that the whole story revolves around people wanting to have sex. I thought that's something. A kind of boring topic to me personally, but I ended up having way more good laughs with it than I expected. The second one was funnier than the first one, to me at least. Uh, and yeah, all in all, I did enjoy them. Like I said, much better than I thought, and I'm glad I watched them after all.
Is that it then?
For now, yeah.
Okay.
Nope.
What about you, girl?
You're welcome. Obviously, not the first time I've seen the movies, because we had just said it earlier. I did not see it in the theaters either. I don't remember exactly when I got caught on to. Of course, I had heard about it long before I saw it. And okay, so I still think they are hilarious movies. But yeah, they were probably they were probably funny when I first saw them. 5 years ago, I was a lot younger. So, I was in a teenager like you, Dave. But I was in my 20s. So yeah, it probably was funny the first time I saw them, but I still get a laugh out of them. I still think they're hilarious. I still think they're one of the funniest franchises out there. I've always been, when you mention comedies and funny movies, special franchise. American Pie is the first pop into my head. So absolutely love them. Um, love that Allison Hannigan from Buffy was in it. In it, and her character was so much different than Willow. Well, yeah, I mean, Willow was shy, but she was Michelle was never shy. She was just a band geek, 100%. But yeah, I remember the first time hearing what she says about one time band camp, I stuck my foot in my pussy, and I was just like, what did you just say? Like it was just it was so unexpected, so completely unexpected, and it was hilarious. And of course that opened up to people saying it, you know, this one time at band camp all the time, everything. Good 10 years, I'd say, probably that went on for a long time. So it's spawned an amazing quote. So, anyways, the cast is absolutely amazing. I loved it. So let's go into the movie itself. Um, we see we go into this house and we see Jason Biggs' character. He's sitting on the couch trying to watch porn that was scrambled,
Fuzzy TV.
which I'll admit, when I was a youngster in my teens, I had found those channels myself and tried to watch these scrambled channels. And of course, he was getting into it, and then he grabbed a sock to put over his private parts, and and then of course, his mom just walks in without knocking or anything, which when you have a teenager, son or daughter, I think you should knock. You know, um, it's just the way it should be. You know, they should knock, and a lot of the fun of the movie is the fact that the parents just kind of just walk in on them a lot. You know.
It happened in movies a lot.
she first it's the mom putting the clothes, and then she's like, she starts to walk away, but then she hears the TV. Oh no, I'm sorry. She goes over and gives him a kiss. Then she starts to turn around. Then she hears the movie, and she's like, wait a minute, what is he watching? And then she starts saying things, and then the dad walks in, and of course the mom's already in there, so it doesn't really matter at that point. But
Jim's dad is quite possibly the best character in the franchise.
I agree.
he is a great character.
The way he goes into his sex ed speeches to his son is hilarious.
Yes.
Yeah, he is uh, a great part of the franchise for all the movies, all four movies, all four of them. Yes, I think he's in all of the band camp as well, if I'm not mistaken. Or at least he was in at least a couple of them if he wasn't in all of them. So he's definitely a great character. Not necessarily my favorite character, but definitely an awesome character. The mom was out there, at least for the first couple that she was in it. I think she was in 3. She was in the last one. But anyways, the dad walks in, and then the mom tries to grab the. Oh wait, no. What is it? Right before the dad walks in, the mom tries to grab the remote, and she ends up grabbing the pillow too. And he the parents go, like, because they see a sock over his penis, and and then he grabs him over, and he's just sitting there, and of course they're still talking to him, and it's like, they don't think maybe we should leave and then have this discussion what we should or shouldn't be doing later. you know, now the dad is cool. He decides he goes out and buys some porno mags for his son, which used to be a thing before there was an internet. Fathers would purchase porno mags or pass them down um, to their sons, at least to a degree. They usually didn't sit there and explain and look at them with them. That was that was just a funny thing.
Go to the centerfold. Go to the centerfold.
Yeah, the centerfold. And everybody knows the centerfold's the complete nude. If you're reading a magazine that
It's the nude of the month.
like Hustler had nude all the way through it. Playboy tended not to have as much nakedness throughout the whole thing. Usually the centerfold, and then they have a little bio about it. This is what I heard. I don't know. No, I'm kidding. Of course I knew. Of course I had porn magazines. So yeah, what do you guys think of this first scene?
Go ahead, Boris.
In the second movie.
No, the first movie.
First movie.
The first movie. Wait, sorry. It was I watched the first movie on Thursday. I kind of need a refreshment of memory. What exactly the first scene was?
He just explained it all. The parents walked in on him while he was watching the porno, and he was fumbling with the remote.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, and pretending it was just some glitch with the TV and stuff. Yeah, that was funny.
Have you ever had a moment like that where you were, playing with your thing, and your mom walked in, and
fortunately, I have not.
Okay. Ever had an embarrassing moment at all, Kroll?
I've never had one of them things where my mom walked in and my thing was like that either.
Okay, you don't have a thing, but
I found a porno mag underneath my dad's side of the bed one time, and I'll guarantee you, my mom found it in my possession, but she didn't catch me in the act at all.
yeah. I don't really remember if I ever saw porno mags that I had or not. I don't really remember. I know one of my favorite magazines was actually looking at Elizabeth in wrestling for SummerSlam. I know she wasn't naked, but she was just so hot.
I remember looking at China at one point in time in some of the muscle magazines. She was kind of hot too at one point in time.
I declined to comment.
I think they called her the ninth wonder of the world or some shit like that.
They did. And me, she once she got rid of the muscles, she got better looking. But she looked like a man to me, and so I don't know.
Well, she at first looked like a man, and then she got boobs. So she actually got a breast implant or something like that. And then it was years later that I heard her boobs deflated or something like that, and that was news. And then, of course, I remember she died some years back, so that was sad. But let's get back to the movie.
Yeah, I did a couple porno movies too. One Night in China, and then Return to One Night in China. I don't know. I actually did not see them. I just not a big fan. So when I heard about it, I was like, ew. So yeah.
Well, and another thing is, didn't they? Not in this. We'll get to it later. There's a scene in the next one that I wanted to mention. But
So, anyways, we go back to the movie, and the next scene, I believe, was it they start showing. What the heck is the next scene?
uh, you want to know what the next scene was? Um,
I'll make it
okay.
up.
So what happens after the porno stuff is when they show all of his friends when he gets together with them at high school.
Oh yeah, they
He,
start showing everybody, most of the main cast. Yeah,
oh yeah,
um,
there's
they're in the school walking. Was it he's walking with Kevin at first, and they or no, is it? Yeah, and then they meet up with Shipbreak, or as Stifler called, and they start talking. He's drinking a cappuccino, reading a newspaper. He was definitely an oddball, um, and not that they're not all. Kevin's probably not the oddball of them all, but yeah, they were all oddballs, and they were a typical friend group, I think, in a way. I mean, I know a lot of people always kind of looked out of place in ways compared to the rest, you know, um, big and I guess older looking. I knew I was friends with kids like that were just older looking and and things, and just so they weren't old. They just looked at, and they were bigger. My nephew is 15 and he's taller than his father, and he's like big, very very big, and you would have thought he was in college, not 15 years old in high school. So
I went to a high school that I swear after like the years after we had a bunch of we had all kinds of short people. But before me, there were all kinds of tall, broad-shouldered kids like ahead of me. It's like they started stunting the growth whenever they came and involved themselves in high school shit.
I don't know about that, but anyways, I think Stifler. I think we saw Stifler next, um, and of course, they're all, the purpose of the movie. They're all trying to figure out how to get laid, and we end up seeing Kevin. Kevin decides that they're gonna wait. Oh no, it's Stifler's first party, isn't it? Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, Stifler's first party, and of course they all even Kevin's the only one who actually has a girlfriend, but you know, who's playing a very a virgin. If you know about Tara Reid, it's kind of pretty funny that she played a virgin, but yeah, she plays a virgin in there, and she doesn't want to give it up, and you know, and he's putting in the time, as he says. I mean, obviously he cares about her, and he also doesn't want to just say "I love you," which he is right. It does get thrown around a lot. So he was very commendable. Yes, sex, but he wouldn't use saying "I love you," and instead he learns to get orgasm as Vicky told him. Now, I think I don't know about you guys, but anyone else think that Stifler and Vicky were like the same people, but male and female in a lot of ways. Like they're always giving the advice. They're always like fake advice, and and obviously Stifler is a little louder. Of course, there was that moment in the second movie where they just kind of looked at each other and they're like, "Nah."
No way. Nah.
But they
Ain't
had
gonna
that.
happen.
They had that chemistry, and I could see them together personally.
Well, he's like the base of the group, the one that like keeps them sane or something like that. Even though he's like the wild party dude.
I think Kevin's more base, but um, okay.
The leader of the group appears to be Kevin because he's the one who makes the pact with the guys at the party that they're going to lose their virginity by prom night.
This, of course, is after what's his name walks down. Terminator walks down.
Oh, the Shermanator.
The girl appears to, have had sex with her. At least that's the way he portrays it and acts like what happened. Of course, if you know anything in high school, when something happened and you told someone, everybody knew.
Mm-hmm.
It took a while to get back to the girl, but it finally did, and but we'll get to that when we get to near the end of the movie.
Yeah.
That was hilarious. That was a funny scene. Kind of felt bad for him, but it's his own fault for being a dumbass. So yeah, we there was a lot of talking about about women. This is where Kevin ends up getting a blowjob, and he has to actually orgasm and no, not yet. He has to orgasm into a cup because she doesn't want to swallow, even though she says she loves him. I had to add that. Anyways, so he just leaves the beer there, and of course, then when they're done, Stifler walks in with a girl that definitely looks way too young. Now that's the one that looked young. She looked about 15. She looked too young. To me, but yeah, he looked too young. Of course, this sitting and he's putting his moves on her, and he hands her the beer, and of course, me and probably on the audience like, oh no, don't do that, and of course, she doesn't because he ends up, and then he ends up chugging it, and immediately he's like, you see him, the way his face is like what he just drank. Like the actor did such a great job convincing you that's what he was drinking, and all of a sudden, you hear her screaming, running down the stairs, with vomit on her dress, and
Pull down.
throwing up into the toilet, and everyone in there, like, why everyone decided to go in there with someone like that's, I don't think is a thing, but
So Stifler, how was the pale ale?
yeah, they were making up, and they're like, wow, what the hell did you do this stuff? I gotta wonder, did Stifler ever find out what it was? Yeah, I mean, he might have known. Like,
I'm sure he eventually like figured it out after they said the pale ale. I mean,
no, that doesn't, like, the person said no either. Like, nobody knew what Kevin and now I can't think of her name. No one. Yeah, I know her real name.
Oh, her name is Vicky.
Yeah, yeah. So Kevin and Vicky knew, but they were the only ones, right? So of course, the audience. So it was just kind of funny. It never got brought up because you'd think he would have had some words or fight with Kevin or something over that one, because that was kind of messed up. so you know, they make the pact, and they come up with a plan that you know they're all gonna get laid, but they're gonna help each other. They're all gonna be the wingman of each other and keep each other motivated into doing this. You know, and of course Kevin again is the only one with a girlfriend. So even though he's only gotten to third base, and obviously Oz has too, because we have this scene after the diner where you know uh, he's Kevin Biggs' character. I mean Jason Biggs' character.
Jason Biggs.
What the hell's his name? I don't remember.
His name is Jim.
Yeah, Jim. I don't know why I'm not remembering names today, but so Jim comes up. Jim's asking what does third
Jim
base
Levinstein.
and Oz, you know, it was Kevin goes going to take this one, and Oz two fingers and says warm pie, you know, and then and then he's asked Jim asks, you know, homemade or McDonald's, and of course they say it, but you know he means homemade, because right after we have our next scene where okay, so this time it wasn't the parents' fault walking in, because you know he decides that he's gonna do his thing right on the kitchen counter, and you know his dad walks in with him screwing.
Yeah, he's fucking the apple pie.
That was a brilliant scene.
Yeah, it really was.
And what I really loved about it was the fact that the dad didn't get mad or anything. He actually helped him hide the whole thing from the mom.
Well, just tell her that you ate it all.
Yeah, we even.
So, do you guys ever remember being this nervous as guys in high school?
Oh yeah, I couldn't talk to women either at all. You know, I was probably worse than him as far as talking. As far as the sexual debacles, no.
My high school experiences were entirely different from this. It's very difficult to compare.
Yeah, I actually had sex until I was 18. So, of course, I was like them, you know, always, you know, craving for and wanting, you know, um, you know, you're very curious and you want to know what the hell it is, but you know, so, anyways, since
I
Daniel,
think the only one I got nervous about around, the only guy that I actually got nervous around was the one that ended up being, I guess, my high school sweetheart, because we went out for most of high school, was Joe, because I thought I thought that there was a lot of girls that were a lot prettier than me, and he was a dead ringer for Axl Rose from Guns N' Roses. So why the hell would he want to go out with me? You know?
yeah, I had very, very, very low self-esteem, so, as well. I mean, I remember having a discussion with my friend Kenny. He was like, I was just like, I don't have a girlfriend. He's like, you can get one. It's your attitude. And basically was doing positive talk back when, and yeah, I was just like, that's easy for you to say. You know, you look better than I do. You're not big, fat, and goofy looking, all this, and buck teeth. And, he's like, I could look just like you and get women. It's all about your attitude. You, blah, blah. Years later, actually, probably about 3 years ago or so, I actually said to my friend, I'm like, you remember way back when you said this to me? You were right. Like, it took me a very long time to right. Even as an adult, I never realized that. It took a very long time for me to realize that attitude means a lot. Wasn't until like last year I started this about things. Um, so yeah, I mean, I was never happy about the way I looked for a long time. until I got older, I just didn't really care as much. But I still thought I was ugly. Always. I don't anymore. But yeah, it low self-esteem it can be to adulthood to stay, but especially in high school. I mean, high school is can be so horrible for people. One of the reasons I quit twice. But yeah, we're getting off. I mean, off topic, but we're getting off the movie.
Yeah, but it is kind of a high school movie in a sense.
Oh, one. Obviously, talk about the high school. And what about you, Dave? Did you want to share before we moved on in the movie?
Oh well, I know myself. I went to Oak Creek High School, and I think I was just telling Tammy about this the other day that like my freshman year, I ended up meeting a really cool hot looking blonde named Sarah, and everyone always used to gather near a place called the Triangle, which was like in between like the principal's office and the front door. And like there was this triangle of wooden benches that people would just gather at in the morning before you went to homeroom and all that jazz. Well, I was kissing Sarah, and my sister walked up behind me and was like, "Holy fuck, that's my brother." So I went to high school with while my sister was going to high school. So I didn't expect my sister to be walking up behind me when I was kissing a girl for the first time. So I wasn't I wasn't exactly embarrassed. I was actually proud of that moment. So
Well, as far as I have heard, you did nothing wrong there.
but
Nowadays, it's a wrong thing for even kids.
oh, nowadays it's wrong to kiss a girl in your high school.
Any
Oh well,
Um, when I was in high school, I was seeing people kissing. What's the big deal with that?
well, you're not. Yeah, they're stupid here. You know, they're stupid here with a lot of things. You know,
Ah,
they
yeah.
became where
High
they.
schools have gotten a little bit more stricter, where you're not there to fuck or screw or anything like that. That
Always
you know.
had to learn, but you know they weren't so. I mean, they kind of yelled at the kids a little bit, but they were a little more lenient when it came to like kissing or holding hands or stuff like that. Like, yeah, they've just become like prudes about it. I guess I don't know what to say. It's just, but I think the whole school system is asinine. But we'll get into that.
Mhm.
Um. So, anyways, so uh, they have they all have boxes of condoms. And some reason, Jim had 3 boxes. This is before we have the next scene. Of course,
And
he
he had the hots for an exchange student.
I forgot to mention at the party is where he saw Nadia, and he's like, she's looking at me, and she was actually looking and flipping her hair, kind of like. But then when he walked over and actually talked, obviously he starts laughing, and and they're just kind of looking at him like she doesn't really seem as interested, but did look like she was interested from afar. So I agree with that, but she did not make things easy to talk to her, and of course she's with another girl. At least she wasn't back. Lots of times girls would hang out in packs. So when you went to go talk to them, there'd be like 4 or 5 of them, which, you know, one on one is hard enough to talk to. But when there's a pack of them, for me personally, I can't do it. I can never do that. So this one, she was only one other. So I give him props. give him as much as he can't talk to women. He went over there. He went over there. He may have made a complete goofball of himself, but at least he had the guts to do it. He went over there, and she definitely would. Even though she was interested in him, obviously because of what happens later, she doesn't slack at all, and she just kind of looks at him like her friend does, and he then just
I guess
like,
I think that part's funny because
yeah, it is
most
funny.
of my most of my friends in school were guys, so I didn't hang out with a pack of girls.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Even back then, most women annoyed the fuck out of me. I had like two friends that were girls. Most of my friends were guys because the girls just annoyed me.
Interesting.
I've had a lot of friends that were girls that thought the same way. Um, yeah, I had guys, like I had like a group, three other guy friends that were a regular group that I hung out with, but then I had a lot of girls that were friends. I always I got for the most, besides the main part of my friends, for the most part I got along with girls more. I was never into sports. I was never into cars, and I know you are, but I was
Neither was I.
never the typical guy or anything, and at all.
The same.
Still not. So I has always got along with girls better, and I kind of understood girls better than most. Um, yeah, I'll never say, and I've never said that I understood women, um, because no man can. But yeah, so even the men that become women, I don't think they still understand. Well, it's true. We're definitely different animals, men and women. Um, even if I wasn't really a typical guy, I would definitely fit in the guy category, of stuff that I thought in a way. Um, but so Audience asked Jim if he's good at history and wants to be tutored. And of course, Oz and Kevin are behind there, like, yes, yes, waiting on the head, like, yeah, and egging him on. And he's like, yeah. And then she's like, oh, well, I have I think she was I can't remember what it was, something she had, and ballet. And if she could change at his house, and Kevin and Oz is like, big open mouth and yes, making all kinds of rude gestures and laughing. It was pretty funny. Like, that whole thing, like behind what they were doing, was pretty hilarious. And he's just like, keeping straight face, not going like, oh my god, yes, or whatever. He's just like, that'd be fine, all matter of fact, like, and everything. And played it completely cool. He said, and he did talk to her pretty damn well. And then we have um, we're there in the library. And, for some reason, the librarian that telling them to shush. But so they're talking, and basically Steph was like, you gotta have a woman, naked in your room. You gotta put this on the internet and send me a link. And even they all agreed that was a good idea.
And
And
this looked like old school dial-up too, so it was like,
yeah, it was old dial up, and of course now when I saw that when I was younger, I was thinking, oh yeah, that's fucking great. Now I'm thinking, wow, that was so illegal and so wrong to put a young, obviously she looked old too, but she was still a senior in high school, so she probably was 17-year-old, on the camera over the internet. Definitely very illegal and very wrong. And I noticed that now, not as much when I was young, per se. I didn't think about it as much, but yeah. Um, but anyways, for the points of the movie, it was funny, and of course, she comes in and then she ends up
She grabbed his magazines.
he ends up leaving because he wants to go. So instead of being at the house where the naked girl is, he wants to see it. So he runs a long way over to Kevin's house, and they're all sitting there watching. And then she gets under, she takes her top off and everything, gets comfortable. And then she looks in the drawer and stuff. Why is she touching my stuff? Let her touch. Let her touch what she wants. And he and then oh no, she's on the phone. She's gonna leave. She's gonna leave. Oh, she's not leaving. She's getting comfortable. Yeah. Whoa. And now she starts. And of course, all of a sudden you start seeing everybody watching this because he made a mistake when he put this on. He streamed it and sent it to everybody or something. And I guess nobody had nothing better to do than to stumble upon someone doing a live stream. Everybody, including parents, like we're.
Yeah, I thought it was really stupid of him that he agreed on the idea of streaming that.
Yeah, and also stupid of not finding out how to do it correctly too.
Definitely.
Do it right. So of course, his friends end up saying, if you ever had a chance with her, it's now, which I agree with them. It, obviously, yeah, she liked him, even though she didn't really say anything at the party. She obviously liked him, and that's why she asked him and everything. She was definitely flirting with him. So she came home, and of course his parents saw him leave and then come back. I'm like, what the heck, Uh, then he gets in. He gets in the room, and she's just like, she pretends to be shocked that he walked in. Because all she was supposed to be doing was changing her clothes. He was there all quite longer. Of course, being a gentleman, probably should have knocked, but he already knew it. So she got shocked. He was like, "Well, you see me now. Let me see." I've had those scenes somewhat, not quite as like that, but I've had stuff where I've seen some. See me too. I did not do a dance, and it was not over the internet. So, um, so she wants to do a strip, and he starts dancing, and it's pretty goofy, and it's everyone's watching, and they're kind of like, it's kind of like that train wreck where it's horrible, but they don't want to look away, and it's funny. She's laughing, but she's still, obviously she likes that, like she's still turned on. She as we find out, she's into geeks. That's her type, And of course, I love her in movies. She's super hot, and her her breasts were freaking perfect in this movie. Like she was just wow, uh, super gorgeous. And then finally he goes to sit next to her, and then goes to touch her, and he premature ejaculation. And of course,
Not just once though.
no, well, hold on, I'm getting to the second one. And oh no, like everybody knows except for his younger brother. He's like, what did he just do? He's like, he blew it. Which was pretty funny the way he simple put it, that he blew it. uh, Nadia gets up to stop leaving, and he's like, no, leave. Still got. And finally, she's like, okay, and she lays on top of him, and then she stands up and she takes her panties off, and he just looks at her and she goes, I think the expression is shit. And everyone can. We don't actually see it in the movie, but everyone can imagine what she looks like that. And
everyone else is like in awe of the shaved pussy.
Yeah, I personally love it too, and so she she grabs his hand and touches her, and oh, whoop, there comes two, and second one, and then she ends up. Then we have him in high school, and he's coming back in, and everyone is around. Everyone he walks by is putting up two or saying two, or two, and he's just like walking around like he's know exactly what's going on, because at this point he doesn't know that it went to everybody. And he ends up finding out, and then of course he's pissed off, and then he ends up talking to Michelle, who is talking to her. It's one time at band camp, and he's just like, and she's like, "Hey, you seem to be pissed off about something. Is the test tomorrow?" And he's like, "You don't have any idea why I'm pissed off." He's like, "No." And of course she knew, but like she said, he was a sure thing, which I thought was like the greatest thing ever, the greatest line. Like, it was, she totally like used him, and it was funny because typically guys don't get used, at least not in high school. And I know I did get used later, but not in high school. And it was kind of funny. They're in the little kids room, and she's like, "Say my name, bitch." I'm sorry, I skipped the whole lot, but he ended up asking her prom, because he's like, every other girl in the freaking high school knows, and the whole county probably knows like what happened. So he doesn't have a chance with any girl. But well, here's a girl. Hey, she's actually pretty. You know, um, they make her out to look too pretty at this point, and her band boring, but they weren't necessarily. uh, You know, um, they were to him, and yeah, I guess they kind of. And she was like, "This one time with bang blah blah blah," but yeah, he knows he's a girl, and he doesn't think he's gonna get laid from her either. But he's like, at least he has a date, date, and so we get to the prom, and basically they're all pretty much fed up. Well, Kevin finds out that Vicky's finally ready. She wants to have sex at prom. And I'm sure he must have told them, but they're all standing around. They're all basically. Jim was the first one to say, I'm just fed up with this. I'm sick of the pressure. I've never had sex. I'm already sick of it. Like, you just, the peer pressure, which is definitely a real thing. Was a real thing when I was in high school. It was, big pressure on sex and everything. And he walks away, and Oz and I can't think of his name. I keep thinking of Shipwreck, but
Kevin?
that was no Shipwreck.
Oh,
Finch.
Finch, thank you. Yeah, so and Finch just kind of agreed to, and they just all kind of walk away. Oh, I did forget the whole fucking thing with Finch. He pays Vicky $200 to embellish some lies about him, or say, and one thing gets around that
Uh,
he's really,
uh,
and another that he beat up Stifler, which is what got him in trouble, because Stifler got revenge by pouring a laxative into him, and he never went to the
that
bathroom.
was funny.
but Finch's revenge after that was fucking amazing.
I mean, I agree. I never took shit out of high school either. I held it. I actually didn't go. I didn't go anywhere. I just held it until I got home.
Why?
Not the same reason as him. Have you seen the bathrooms? I mean, I don't know about Croatia, but yeah, they were horrible. Yeah, I would run in and take a piss. Yeah, but I never took a shit at school ever. Um, so that's why he was, Stifler called him shipwreck, because they never got along. They were complete opposite people. And, so I mean, that rumor was Vicky should not have started that rumor. That was.
Wait, I think the one who was spreading the rumors was that girl, Jessica, not Vicky.
Yeah, I was just about to say, I mean Jessica, but you interrupted me.
Sorry.
Yeah, I meant Jessica, not Vicky. Jessica should not have said that one. That was a mistake. And of course, then we at the prom, she goes, "I felt bad," and she hands him a fancy, and which she knew he would like. He did. She's like, "Wow, you spent 200." He's like, "No, I spent 50 on the flask and 150 on these earrings." And and then basically said, "You want to dance?" And then of course she's like, "Just to let you be clear, you have no chance with me."
And that was in the first movie.
We're still talking about the first movie, so of course
Yep.
it's a movie. And she it's funny, like she's always talks about sex and having a lot. You never see her with the guy, You never see her with anyone.
No, which is why he eventually does make a lesbian comment. I'm not sure if
No. He did not make that comment. Stifler made that comment.
yeah, that's what I was talking about.
Well, you,
Stifler.
well, you said he, and he was talking, and she was not talking to Stifler. So you need to clarify who you're talking about. Yes, Stifler made that, and that was in the second movie. He made that comment. But yeah, you never saw her with women either. But obviously, she knew about sex because, she was another funny thing. Vicky was always talking to her about it, and when Vicky finally decided, "I'm gonna go do it. I'm gonna go have sex," yes, and she's like, "Yes, finally," and she's just like, "Yes, go do it." Like, I'm tired of hearing about it. You know, your friends not having sex and everything, and you know, it's, so they end up prom night, and we end up at the party afterwards, and Vicky and Kevin end up going into a room, and they think they shut the door, put a chair up against the door, and they're getting ready, and all of a sudden they open the closet, and the little brother comes out and yells he's like, "You guys are gonna fuck!" And he jumps on the bed, "Fuckers, fuckers, fuckers!" And then they come out, and he's like, "Oh man!" Like, I guess he wanted to stay or what? I don't know. Because he had watched Nadia changing clothes too, and this is the coolest thing ever. and, he gets kicked out, and they go about their business, and they're just kind of he's just asking, which way do you want it, and she's like, what way you want it? He's like, a missionary, and they just started talking about it, which I thought was weird. Um, they decided to talk about it before they did it, and so we see them doing that, and then now, I forgot to mention anything about Oz. So much has happened with big cast that lots happen at the same time, and Oz meets a choir girl and ends up joining the choir, and he ends up being really liking it. Of course, this is after he's told he needs to be more sensitive. After he tells a college girl to suck me, baby, suck me, beautiful, which which is hilarious. And they actually did that in another movie. They used those same three words. Um, Stuck Me Beautiful, which was absolutely hilarious. And of course, she starts cracking up laughing, and he's kind of offended. But, wait, and they call me Nova. That's pathetic. He thinks he's a big shot in high school, and he probably is, but she's a college girl. Like, you gotta step it up a notch for her, And she ends up giving him some pointers and telling him he needs to be sensitive, and of course, Stifler's like, "What the hell are you doing? Like, what did you people do to him?" Obviously, yeah, it actually wasn't them. It was the girl that did it. That told him to be sensitive, and he ends up liking it, and then he ends up being sensitive and telling the truth with what the hell's her name? And then with Mia's character, tells her, how he's pigeonholed, and she's like, I'm a prior girl press, which is like the exact same word Stifler used to describe them, and I do things, and he's like, well, what kind of thing you do? What do you think I do? And he's like, oh, I never, I hadn't thought of it before, but now I'm interested. He's like, well, I do stuff the same thing you do, and you know, they connect there, and then you see her watching him at his game, and then she goes over and she actually asks him to prom, and of course Stifler's there being Stifler and saying, well, we don't pay for the limo, and he's like, Stifler, like, stop being a douche, and she still walked away, but then afterwards you see them kind of like Stifler being his normal self and doing the dancing and spanking scene, and they're all laughing. And somehow she thinks of this as them making fun. They're not making fun of her, but they're, making sex with her, which, that's what guys did. And she gets all upset and she calls it off. and it's kind of unfair to him because I mean, yeah, he was laughing, but he's with his friends. It's just it made her uncomfortable, so she just and they never end up going to prom, even after everything was made up and everything, even after he showed up at the choir and everything, they still never went together, which is weird. I don't understand why she never changed her mind. Um, but um,
Yeah.
they're doing practice. He ends up being the lead. And she's like, you can't fake this. You better practice. And then she actually sees him practicing. And of course, she comes by when he's working, and he makes her a hot dog, and they're talking, and she's like, you gotta figure it out. He's like, no, I'm not. What am I gonna do? I'm gonna be a professional cosplayer. I mean, I could go into business, but I don't know. And she's like, oh, good. I thought I was the only one who didn't have it figured out. And he's like, you know, typical. No one. Lots of people don't have it figured out. I didn't, and never did for a long time. And so they end up. She ends up getting closer with him, but then he realizes, oh, the lacrosse thing is Saturday, the same as the singing competition, um, and of course, first a jock lacrosse player, so he's like tells her he's sorry he can't go, and she's obviously very disappointed in him and everything. I mean, she says she understands and everything, but you can tell she's disappointed. And the other guy who can't really sing all that good gets put in his place, and he ends up being at the game. You see him at the game, and then the coach starts talking about, you haven't scored, you scored, and blah, blah, blah. Like basically Oz had, thought he had scored and had goofed up, and so they had put him on the bench, and the coaches are talking to him about, this is the culmination of 4 years and blah blah, blah and all this. And it just, I was just thinking about the girl and the choir and everything, and he realizes he'd rather be there. He'd rather be there than here. And then all of a sudden he just starts leaving. He's like, "Good luck, fellas." And the coach's like, Oz Striker, I didn't tell you to let you have to leave. He's like, Oz Striker, and then Sif like, Oz, like, Striker, what's happening? They're all completely confused. Sif was always
I
joking,
don't think he's coming back.
nope, she's coming back. Yeah, that was a little bit later. It was like some time had passed. Like he's coming back, like quite studious. So he of course gets to the thing, and they're all like, yes, all there, and everyone except for the guy that's gonna in his place. And even her, he's like I needed to focus, and she's like, that's a start, like she always doesn't want to do a duet with him, and no one wants him. And even his friend said, he's like, you suck, dude. Like, like he really wasn't good. And then of course it's changed when they do their scene, and comes great. And they end up, oh yeah, when he shows up, like, you left for us, and he goes, no, I left across for you. And she kiss, they kiss. And he ends up doing that. So then after prom, everyone goes back to Stifler's, and he ends up talking to her and telling her they're outside talking, and he's like, oh, um, what was he saying? He was talking about the pact, and how about getting laid and everything, and she was just like, this is not the way to the proposition me. He's like, no, I'm just trying to tell you. And then he starts telling the story about the coach. He's like, when you score, bro, like, this isn't any better. And he's like, no. He's like, obviously he's not very good at articulating his feelings. So then he finally does, and he's like, I just, I really care for you, you know, I like you, and all this other stuff, and that hits her like, okay, you just hit the buttons. You're getting laid, buddy. Like, and I don't, and obviously I think he generally felt that way. He wasn't trying to trick her into bed or anything, but obviously, I mean, bed per se. That sexual side, obviously. But yeah, so he ends up with her, and then of course Jim ends up with Michelle, and Stifler ends up meeting the MILF, Stifler's mom. He ends up going over, like, "Aren't you a little lost?" And he's like, "No," and I forget exactly what he says, and then he asks for a drink, and she goes, "The keg is downstairs." And he's like, "Oh no, I want a real alcohol." That starts talking.
And I love how was it the Monkees, Mrs. Robinson, that was playing in the background?
Oh yeah. Mrs. Robinson. Yeah, which if anybody song is about an older lady seducing a younger man, and of course when she, when she says tells him to drink, it's age 18 the way I like it, and he goes and gets a drink and grabs her glass, and then he says something to her like, "Are you trying to seduce me?" And he's like, "Yes, ma'am." And he's like, "You're dead." And he just like looks over at the pool table and grabs. You see her like pull. uh,
And
so
Stifler's mom was played by Jennifer Coolidge.
yeah,
She played it just perfectly.
she did. I mean, everybody like, to me, I don't think she's the hottest star as looks though, but the way she played it, she was very sexy, very sexy. Like you could feel the sexual tension between her and him, and like she really played that MILF perfectly. Like
I
she.
mean, there's an earlier movie called The Graduate where they played an older woman romance a thing with I don't know if you know the movie, but it was a comedy.
I've heard of it, and I might have seen it, but I'm not. I don't remember it, so I don't know if I've seen it. I've definitely heard of it. That's Matthew Broderick, isn't it?
No, that was actually who played Hook in Hook. Um,
Dustin Hoffman.
Dustin Hoffman, young Dustin Hoffman.
Okay. You're thinking of a totally different movie than I was, obviously. Um, talking about. I have not seen it, but I've heard of it. So yeah. But anyways, yeah, she plays the MILF perfectly, and then of course, we see Stifler ends up walking in, and he's like, "Mom," and he faints, and it's just wow.
Spodal! Oh, you said Spodal too.
He just faints, which
Uh,
I think it's absolutely hilarious.
there is actually one interesting thing I'd like to say about that moment. That scene, to us Croatians, that scene was probably funny for a different reason from you Americans. Like here in Croatia, we have one very common insult that literally translates to "I fuck your mother." That's a
We have motherfucker.
yeah, that's kind of similar.
Yeah,
Uh,
we have motherfucker, or and of course the whole thing is, when people would want to insult their friends, or they're like, "I just fucked your mother last night," or something like that. That's definitely a huge insult in America too. So yeah,
oh,
yeah.
oh, I didn't hear it that often on movies and shows, so I didn't know
Well,
it was.
Don't hear it that often. Well, I slept with your mother last night. You
yeah,
know,
it wasn't in
and
movies.
she loved it.
Word of mouth. Yeah.
Yeah, so here in
Yeah.
Croatia,
Oh,
it's also.
can you tell your mother to give me back my underwear? I left it at the house last night, or something like that. Another thing.
Yeah, also here in Croatia, when you want to say that someone, I don't know, kicked someone's ass or took good revenge on someone, you can say he fucked his mother, even though you don't mean it literally. Like I said, it can also be a metaphor for beating someone up or paying someone back for something. And so in this case, it was, to me at least, it was really funny because Stifler said set it up for Finch to get diarrhea, and then Finch literally fucked his mother. So
Yeah,
uh,
I guess I could see. Yeah, that's weird the way you guys have that, but I can see how it's fun. It's even funnier to you, that aspect, because yeah, that we definitely don't have that. Um, so yeah, I definitely. Obviously, he didn't do it to be revenge. You know, everybody thought she was a milf, and you know, he of course met her, and of course he was trying to, you know, he had struck out for getting laid too, and you know, and of course he was always acting sophisticated, way too sophisticated for high school girls, and obviously it only made sense that he was probably too sophisticated for most college girls. So yeah, it made sense that he was with an older woman, and it was just even funnier because him and Stifler never got along, but obviously him and Stifler's mom got along because you know, he gave his Stifler to her.
oh, he definitely did.
Yeah, so we end up. This is pretty much, I think, it for the first movie, right? Am I right?
Yep.
Yes.
Now we have now we have the second movie, and we go into start with Jim again, and he's up. You hear her saying, "You sure don't want to go back to my room?" He's like, "Oh, my roommates are already gone. We have the place to ourselves." And I'm thinking, "No, you should go back to her room, dude. Go back to her room." Because of course had already seen it, so I knew it was gonna happen. So he's with this girl, and of course he's acting stupid. And of course he hadn't been with any girl since Michelle, so you know he was just like, oh well. She's like, just think of it as good, friendly goodbye sex. Well, we never had friendly hello sex, and she's like, you don't want to do things? He's like, I do, and then he's like, oh well, you know, I just only did it once, and I may not be any good, and she, this isn't exactly a turn on, like totally, like you know, maybe late when you have a girlfriend, you might want to say some things that you're worried about, whatever, but not
Or
some.
lock the door at least.
Did lock the door. He did lock the door.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I'll get to that in a second. So he ends up you know, she ends up getting on top of him and kissing and everything, and then all of a sudden you see the parents and they're driving in, and he's talking about, oh, I remember when you know my dad handed me a beer and said, now you're a man and I got to do the thing with my son, you know, and he walks into the college and they're like, you can't come in with that. And he's like, oh, I'm just trying to surprise my son and blah blah blah, and the stupid kid not only lets him, which is fine, but instead of the dad knocking on the friggin' door, he unlocks the door and lets him in. Like totally, like that was just again, it made it funny, but it was just like a thing that should not have fucking happened at all, you know. And so he lets him in. And of course, he walks in and sees them. He's like, "Oh!" And typical dad, instead of just walking out when something he walked into something very open, he's like, I'm not embarrassed." And he's like, I am." And the girl just like looking like terrified, complete terrified, holding the blanket over herself. And then you know he goes to walk away, and he comes back. He starts talking more. And he's like, "Dad." Then the mom walks in and drops a pie, an apple pie,
Wow.
which is of course is hilarious because of what happened with the first movie and everything. And she's just like, and then the father's like, oh, well, I'll take her back to the cottage, like, yes. So they're finally starting to look like they're gonna leave. In walks her parents, and I'm like, and she's like, Dad, like, I think it was so okay. So we're used to Jim, like parents walking in and seeing things, and it's like, oh man, now her parents. So at least Jim wasn't alone. Poor, you know, Jim did not end up. I guess you could say he had sex, half sex. You know, I mean, he started to have sex with her, just never finished. Um, so,
Nope, his nervous talking got in the way, and then the
oh,
parents
oh yeah, and then the parents finished it off instead of him being finished off. Or her. But so yeah, so
I
she
did want to say that this second movie was completely directed by a totally different guy.
really
It was actually two brothers that actually directed the first one. Paul and Chris Weitz directed the first one. J.B. Rogers directed this one.
It was the same director because they all feel like they were the same. Like they were done. They did such a great job that it all felt like it was the same director. Yeah. So of course we start off with the same way the first movie started off with Jim and him getting embarrassed, but at least this time it's with a girl instead of with a sock and a TV set. But yeah. So what was the? I think the next is there for the party. They're all talking about. They start talking about all the parties are getting shut down around there, and well, you think about it. Even the first time they had people underage drinking, like even when they were 18, like prom and everything, they weren't old enough to drink. Like that was definitely. I mean, the mother could have gotten in serious trouble for allowing that, and definitely, and then Steve later. Of
Well,
course.
they even shut down Stifler's party. So,
Oh right, I'm getting.
Yeah, that's one part that kind of confused me. What was the problem? Why did they shut down that
underage
I
drinking.
party?
just said it. Underage drinking.
Oh,
They
Underage
weren't
drinking
21.
is a problem in America. It's against the law.
Yeah.
oh,
You
well,
cannot. Whereas maybe in your country, babies on up to adults can drink.
well, actually, yeah, we have that law too. I just didn't realize that was happening at the party.
Well, yeah, all these kids are like under
Yeah, I mean,
under
the first
21,
movie, they
which
were
is
talking about the keg and they were drinking beer and the whole thing. I mean, he drank the cum with, the beer with cum in it. I mean, that was, the whole thing. So, yeah, they were all drinking and they were obviously underage and everything. And then, of course, he even said that he invited high school girls. So, but even
of
at college,
course, honestly,
he still wasn't.
even if they were having a party with all of age drinkers, those cops would have still busted them anyways.
Why it was
I
in the
think.
middle of the day. It really depends on where the party was, where it was.
And what time it was happening
Yeah,
after.
it looked early enough. Oh wait, no, yeah, that one was early. The other one was after prom, so the other one was late. But this one, I think, was a lot earlier. So I don't think it would have gotten shut down unless they were just in a small town where the cops had nothing better to do, and were bored.
Yeah, I know when I was in Evanston living in a dorm situation, we had a friend of ours who would have his bass like really loud, and after 10 o'clock, he got called the cops on because of noise complaints after 10 o'clock. So I kid you not,
Yes,
there are noise
yes.
ordinances.
After, I mean, okay, so we there was a concert place around here, in Great Woods, Mansfield, and now this concert place has been there for like 50 fucking years. People would move into the area and started complaining about the noise after it was after 11 o'clock here. But okay, so you move in to a place where it has a concert that's well known throughout the whole fucking state, and then you move in and complain that there's loud music. What the fuck were you thinking? Like seriously, that is just the dumbest thing I've ever thought of in the world. So of course the venue ended up having to start shutting down at 11 o'clock instead of going past midnight like it used to, which is just fucking asinine. The people who moved there should have fucking moved the fuck out. Like they knew the concert was there. They knew it was there. It was a big huge thing in the fucking state. Like they knew it. Like
Wasn't it only a couple of years ago that you were playing like Christmas music, and somebody called the cops on us or some shit?
No,
well,
somebody said something to the new landlord who was cool and talked to me, and I said, well, you're not gonna. I know you're not gonna tell me who it was, but could you just relay a message to them the next time if they don't like it to please just come and knock on the door, and I'll be glad to turn it down. And the new landlord was really cool. I said, because I even said technically, I said it wasn't after 10 o'clock p.m. and it wasn't before 10 a.m. So, and he's like, yeah, I know. And I said, it's not like I do this every day for hours on end, you know. And there's never been a problem since then. And I have turned up the stereo since that, and nobody's coming knocking or nothing. So
Well, they probably didn't like Christmas music, which I can relate.
it was TSO.
What?
Trans-Siberian Orchestra.
Okay, that's actually pretty good. Okay, so I take back my statement. Assholes. Now, if it was rap, I definitely would understand. But anyway, no. So, Dave, where were we in the movie? What? Okay, so the party.
We were just finishing up, and honestly, we do need to do first impressions of the second movie before we go further. At least what we thought of the second movie.
Okay, yeah, I forgot about it. Okay, so go
Oh.
ahead. Go ahead. Well, let's start with Philip. We'll go the other way.
Okay, I thought we had done first impressions for both
Not of
movies
the
at the
second movie.
beginning.
No, we didn't
Not
do
of the second movie.
Oh,
Because we're now
well,
on the second movie.
yeah. Well, like I said at the beginning, I think I enjoyed the second movie a little better than the first one. Like the plot was moving faster. At least I got that impression, and there was more comedy, and it gets funny right away. I would say. Yeah, I would say the second one was funnier than the first one. And
I'd say they're even, in my opinion.
sorry, what?
I'd say they're even. I enjoyed them evenly.
Oh, I see. Uh, yeah, I forgot what else I was going to say. I'm sorry, but yeah,
Oh, sorry for
the
interrupting.
second one was really good.
Okay. Well, if you come up with anything else, I'm sure you can let us know. Tammy, what did you think about the second movie?
Um, same as the first.
That tells us a lot.
Yeah, that's very descriptive.
I thought so.
You enjoyed it?
It was a lot of fun, you know. So I don't know. I really don't think one was. I don't think one was funnier than the other because you know the
I
humor was
mean,
a little bit different.
each scene, each movie had their scenes. And I'll get to the scene in a minute. After we hear from Dave. Dave, what do you think about the second movie? And
I
is this
would
the first time?
I would have to say they're just as equal, but there is one scene that I remembered from the second one that once it came to it, then that was like pretty fucking funny because it was almost as funny as the scene where Adam Sandler got his dick stuck in a zipper and was it
Ew.
in one of his movies, Wedding Singer, if I remember correctly. And
No, that wasn't Adam Sandler.
yeah, that was Adam Sandler in Wedding Singer. Oh wait, no, that wasn't Adam Sandler. That was Ben Stiller
I know it.
in There's Something About Mary.
I know. I remember the scene. I was just saying that. He shit all over the place. He shit. Well, yeah. Yeah. He ends up getting his penis stuck in his zipper, and oh yeah, that was a great movie. We're gonna do that sometime. Yeah, definitely a great movie.
And that was 1 year before the first American Pie movie.
Was
So
it? Was it?
yeah, it was in 1998.
I thought that was after for some reason. It was. It was a great movie, but American Pie definitely ended up overshadowing.
But yeah, I feel like it still has the same. I should say it still has the same dude. I mean, it's maybe more or less like a year later, you know.
Well,
Um,
it is, and so doesn't that make you feel differently about Mia, because now she's off going to college, so you know she was old enough because now she's off on abroad and she graduated, so she was
still
definitely.
looks young to me in this
But
one as well. I
oh,
mean,
and so she was obviously old enough. So I don't. I'm just asking because I don't see what you. I didn't see, how you feel about it in the second movie where she's off in and you know.
I know, and unfortunately, she wasn't really that much in the movie. I often felt like she was having an affair with another person while she was off and
Would you
abroad.
that you were listening to Stifler?
Um, not really listening to him, but she was often unavailable to him, and vice versa. But then suddenly she showed up in the
But
very end.
we don't get to we don't they don't follow her in the movie, so we don't know what she's doing. We see him like basically like not looking at any other women, not talking to them. He's probably doing the same thing. We just didn't see it. That's the way. I mean, I don't know. You can obviously think different, but I don't. I think it's faithful. And I know statistically speaking, she more than men do. Even though it's always said that the cheaters. Um, so yeah. I don't. I tend to think and I guess it's not really important. I guess not a movie, but yeah. So, anyways, were you done with your impression of the second movie?
Yeah, that's pretty much it for right now. I mean, I'm sure we'll get into it a little bit more as we go along. I mean, it again has its moments, and I do think that Eugene Levy is the strongest character I think out of the franchise. You know,
Yeah, I get that, but anyways, let's go. Okay, so we have a scene where who is walking by? I think it's Jim walking by. Everyone going holding it to go to. No. Oh no, it's shipwreck. Now I can't think of his name again. I just said it a minute ago. Okay. Anyways, so he's walking by, and you see the guys at MILF who was in White Castle movie. He goes, "Oh, you're the dude that screwed Stifler's mom," and I'd shake your hand if I wasn't holding my dick as a piece of, and they're all waiting, and then of course Stifler is out talking to a girl who he couldn't even remember her name earlier because he says the name and then she goes Christy, and he's like oh yeah, and then he walks away like it matters. Yeah. And he's out on a patio, and he's kissing her, and the dude starts pissing over, and of course then he has to hold it, and she's like, I
I
guess.
think she gets knocked out with something that falls, and
He says, I've got a surprise for you, lay back. And she's drinking from the bottle and she's going to pour it over him. As she's about to, a pot gets knocked off the porch and falls onto her head, knocking her out. And then the dude starts pissing again, interrupted by a girl. And the wingman said, "Hey, why don't you grab us some beers?" And he was able to start pissing again. So he starts pissing all over um, Stifler's head and face, and he's like, "Oh, I taste it. I can taste the bubbles." Wait, no, I can't. He's like tasting like what? And then he
it's
realized
so warm.
it's so warm. Yeah, how'd you get it so warm so quick? And this and that, and Yeah, when he realized what it was, he was very pissed off and pissed on. There's a saying here in America: "It's better to be pissed off than pissed on," and he was both. um, yeah, of course, he ends up walking in right when the cops are looking for him, and he walks in all pissed off and pissed on. And of course, we don't see. We just have the next scene where they're like, "Oh, Stifler's got shut down," and they're all kind of like bummed out, and they're like, "Where the hell are they going to party for the summer?" Um, and then of course he calls his brother, which I forgot to mention in the first movie. His brother had told him about the Kama Sutra book, and I assume it was the Kama Sutra, and how all the kids had added onto it over the years, and it was really a huge book, and he had gotten ideas of how to pleasure Vicky orally from the book. I never needed a book, just to say. But this time he talked to his brother, and his brother's obviously in some kind of corporate place, and he tells him about the party, how they went to the lake house, and they rented the lake house, and had at the end of the summer had the biggest blowout party ever, and it was talked about, and it was a big deal. So he recommends Kevin do that. So Kevin tells the guys that they're gonna go and rent the lake house, and they realize they probably don't quite have enough money between them all, and they end up inviting Stifler, and even so, they still needed to get a jobs. Even Stifler got a job, so we assume he had a lot of money because he lives in a big house, and it was a very fancy house and everything. So, but he ended up working too, needing to work, and of course they get a job as painters, because that's known as a job to get, especially in the summertime in the summer area. So, and they end up going to a house where they believe two lesbians live, because
Well, Stifler believes that they're lesbians.
no, they all believed it. They all believed
No,
it. Yes, they all believed it.
he ends up having to try to convince them that they're lesbians.
No, they all believed it.
Okay.
All believed it. They were all doing on watching things, and everything. You don't remember, they were watching through the window, and they were all inside the house, and like, well, okay, they weren't in the house to get Stifler out, but still, they were all into it. And then when they thought the two girls was going to start doing stuff, they were very excited. Yeah, they thought they were lesbians. Everyone. It was Stifler who thought first, and of course, Chitbreak said he didn't. It was acting like, you know like he's just being a buffoon, thinking they're lesbians, because like they can't be friends. But then afterwards, he started thinking, yeah, he's right, they are lesbians. So yeah, at first he was the only one who didn't think so, but then he thought so too afterwards. So they ended up leaving, and they ended up going into the house, and he starts running around with a dildo. He's like, I found a dildo, it's a rubber thing. He just thinks it's
And then they came back home.
and they start coming back to the paper, and Oz was like, I'll intercept them, and he's usually good at women and them paying attention, but it didn't work this time. They just kind of ignored him, and was like, and just walked by, like, they're in the house, you gotta, of course. Steph tries to hide behind the curtain, and Shipwreck's like, how original. And then they going into the closet together, and Jason under the bed, and Ben had,
Somehow, they were on an open channel where a lot of people were connected to that channel as
yeah,
well on the walkie-talkie.
yes, and we don't realize there's other people listening until well, the two girls, finally they start talking about. One of them says Woody is missing, and the other one's thinking, oh crap, it's the dildo. They think it's a dildo because his name Woody. Of course, it's actually Woody from Toy Story, which I thought. Um, and then he's like, "Oh no! I just realized I had the dildo from the other room." And of course, she goes to the drawer. And he's like, "There's a dildo in my drawer." And the other one's like, "You could have asked me if you wanted to borrow it." He's like, "I've never seen it before." And then all of a sudden, you see they hear the closet, and somehow I think all three ended up in the closet, which I'm not sure exactly when that happened, but they opened and all three, and they're like, no, don't call the police, and then where does the painters? And the other girl's like, I'm still calling the police, which don't blame her. I mean, that was a complete invasion of privacy, and they could have gotten in big trouble. Luckily for them, the girls were more mischievous and decided that they rather fuck around with them and talks and have some fun. So they're like, yeah, so Steph lowers his big mouth, and this time saves them, and says, we're just trying to prove that you guys are lesbians. So he does say that, but they already thought it. He was the first to think of it, but they all thought it, and she's like, "Oh, you guys like that?" Like firstly they talk and like, "You want to fuck with them?" And, yeah, let's fuck with them. So you guys like that? And of course, it's always been a big thing, stigma for guys. Most guys like seeing women kiss other women and be with other women. Um, it's always been the thing, and so they're like, well, we kiss. We want to see you guys kiss, and Jim and Stifler end up kissing, and they mouth and everything, like they're like really kissing. It was pretty disgusting, and afterwards, Jim's like Stifler's like, you're not really that good. And he's like, well, I wasn't trying. He's like, you were trying. No, I was trying. Oh, I just kissed Stifler. Oh, and they're making faces and everything, and like they like touch her ass, and she's like this, and he's like, well, touch his ass, and they're going back and forth, and then it was at some point, I guess, they were saying, got to touch someone's penis, and stiff, and all of a sudden the others were like, I'm out, and they ran out, and he's just like, can't you guys be a team player? I was the one doing all
I
the
want to see you go down on him.
yeah. Yeah, and well, I wasn't down. It was touching, masturbating, because when they were telling Oz the story, he's like, so Oz wanted to go down on you guys, both of you guys, and like, no, he wanted us to go, he wanted us to stroke him, and he's like, I don't believe it. He's like, yeah, it's true. It's true, because it was just a fucking hilarious scene, and then we're back to the party house, and we the whole time Jetbreak is doing this tantrum where he's which is true, it's a true thing, where he's holding his basically not masturbating, holding all his sexual um, and not releasing it at all, and holding it in, waiting for that perfect moment, which is for him. And Steph's mom shows back up because he hears that someone's coming, and he releases the mother. Then all of a sudden, the little brother shows up, and he's like, "Oh man, my arms are wasted. I look ridiculous." Because the little brother's like, "Are you wearing a dress, dude?" Like he did look pretty ridiculous with what he was wearing, and he goes back upstairs, and he's just kind of bummed out that it wasn't Scheffler's mom that was coming. It was the little brother, and the little brother is there for the same thing as them, so some pussy. And of course, Jim's like standing in line, and then of course Jim ended up. Oh yeah, I think this happened before they went to the house. Nadia called, and even though she had gotten deported from what happened in the first movie, she still was at the end of the last movie. He was dancing in the camera for her, so she still liked him. And then she wanted to come visit, and she was in New York, and summer, and instead of being excited, well, he didn't want to be too excited, so he realized that he thought he sucked, and so he ended up figuring out that he needs to find out from the one person that actually knows. Well, actually, technically, I mean, he did kind of have sex with the other girl too, but for the sake of the movie, they said the one girl he actually had full sex with, Allison Hanley and Michelle's character. So he shows up there to talk to her, and
He's totally surprised.
yeah, and she's like excited, but then she
Yeah, he shows up at band camp. Band camp.
yeah.
Everything's band camp.
Yeah. And so she decides, I got an idea. She puts him in shorts and a t-shirt, looking like one of the guests that were coming there. And of course, he starts to run away from the counselor and smashes his head on. He's kind of completely out of it. And they're like, "Are you Petey?" And he's like, "Yeah, yeah, sure." Like he doesn't even know the hell he's saying. So they mistake him for this uh, special kid, Petey, who can play the trumpet. Of course, Jim can't play anything else.
Not trumpet, it was the trombone.
Whatever, some kind of instrument. And obviously, I don't know the difference. Anyways, he goes out on the stage, and he's supposed to be playing, and they're all let's give it up for Petey, yeah, and they're all cheering him on, and he's just looking like he tries to leave, and they push him back out there, and at some point he should have probably said, I thought he had said something to the guy that, I'm not Petey. Like he was out of it. It really wasn't his fault that he was just like he wasn't even know he was being asked. He was freaking out of it from knocking his head on the bell. Which is pretty hilarious. Then finally he said, "What the hell?" He's playing the trombone, and of course it's fucking horrible. But people are still trying to cheer him on because he's a special kid, but it's absolutely completely horrible. And he's like, "Yeah, rock on." He was acting like a complete spaz. So they thought he was special. So it was quite funny. And Michelle's just looking like, "What the heck?" But she still, I think she still kind of thought it was cute. Like she liked it, but and her friend was just like, "What?" The heck? And he but at the end, he was just like, "And I got big balls," and I don't know where the hell that came from. What the hell made him say that? Like that was just completely left field to me. And everyone was like mad, and the consuls are chasing him to see what he said. And then of course Michelle thinks it's hilarious, and the girl was like, you're a great girl. Like I guess she realized that Michelle was liking Petey, and like she was just like, Petey's like too special for me. Like you're a nice girl or whatever for liking him. Because the way he acted. It's funny because he's not even special that way. It's just between being knocked on the head and then just acting like a complete spaz. Yeah, and of course we actually see happening to the real Petey. The bus driver had gotten a flat tire, and all the band people from Northern Oaks were stuck and were not able to actually make it. So that's what happened. Um, and he ends up finding out from her, before that yes, he does suck. She's like, "Oh yes, I remember you suck." Like, what? Like, it's one thing to think you're bad. It's quite another to have it confirmed. Like she was pretty cold about it. She was like not holding back at all, like not trying to spare his feelings. Like she was just like, "No, you suck. You are." Like that was like horrible. That was kind of mean. I don't to her. I don't think she realized she was being mean. She was being truthful, which can be the same thing. So yeah, didn't let him down. Same thing. Then you see him talking to the friends. He's like, "Well, it's confirmed. I do suck." He's like, "What do you mean?" Like Michelle told me that I sucked. So then he gets the idea of he needs to get pointers and from Michelle because she had said I can give you a point or two. So he goes back there and she's like, "You're not supposed to be here," like obviously because of what had happened before. And she ends up taking him up into a room and they talk and she's like, strip down, take your pants, drop your pants, and without warning or anything, she sticks a trombone, or was it trumpet this time? I think it was the trombone up his ass, which was pretty fucking funny. And that was a spit out too. Um,
Spudo.
you know, it is well known fact that men have a sexual spot in their assholes, which is how I guess men get off with each other. Yeah,
Not to interrupt you, Crow, but I gotta get cruising, so
yeah. Sorry, I try to be quick.
that's okay.
Really?
Did you wanna?
But
Did you wanna say your final thing about the movies, or do you want to wait till you come back, or what do you want to do?
Did you want to say your
I
favorite
thought the
scenes at least?
I thought the production was pretty cool because it seemed pretty really. It seemed pretty realistic, what the time and the clothing and the atmosphere and everything for the most part seemed pretty, pretty odd. Um, Favorite scenes, um, well, we didn't get to it yet. I don't think
What about the first movie? What was your favorite scene in the first movie?
in the first movie, the pie.
Ow! And
When he got caught, screwing the pie, and well, you'll when you get to we'll just say when you get to the gel, you guys will know what I mean. That's my
what?
for the second one.
Yeah. I
You
know what
didn't
you're
get
talking
to it yet,
about.
but that's
I typically myself to myself.
so you're getting there yet for that
Yeah,
one.
I
But
think that's coming right up, actually.
I got to cruise and probably won't be able to get back on because the girl I leave, she leaves like right at 3. So chances are pretty not.
You able to get back on? Okay.
Probably not. No.
Okay.
So I'll catch you guys later.
Yep. Thank you for coming, and sorry it took so long, but we kind of got sidetracked a few times. So
All right. Talk to you guys later. Catch you next time.
Catch you next time.
But
yep.
don't forget to wish the 40-year-old an early birthday.
Um. Yep.
Bye.
Right.
I'm sorry, whose birthday?
Oh, my birthday
His,
is Monday.
he said
Oh, cool.
tomorrow he'll be 40. My daughter is turning 30 on the 23rd.
Oh, that's a wow.
Cool.
Yeah. My sister is 41. Oh, well, she will be 41 in November.
Ah,
So, yeah, she was almost 11 years apart, which is a thing in the family. But, anyways, where were we in the movie? Okay, so he decides he wants to have Michelle help him. He gets the thing stuck in his ass, and I think this is about the scene where he's in the bedroom, or it might have been before. I'm not sure, but anyways, he's in the bedroom and he's watching porno, and he goes to grab oil to put on himself to relieve himself, and he ends up grabbing super glue, and I guess he had the tape in his hand, and he ends up gluing the tape to his hand, and he tries all kinds of things. He tries to get it off. He ends up taking a shower, and he uses the soap and tries to use that to get the tape off, but nothing works. So finally, he manages to, he can't even open the door or anything or to get for help. So he ends up finally calling, using the phone, and calling poison control, and no one ended up being able to help him there either. And then he ends up no, I'm not sure exactly what he was thinking, but he ends up going out the window outside. I guess he was going to try to climb down the house with a tape stuck to his hand and everything, and uh, it was a porno tape, and the police end up seeing him, and of course he's like naked, and he comes out there, and they're like, stick your hands up. Going up and like, boom, I can't, I'm stuck. And then of course all of a sudden we see everyone there, and EMTs have a blanket around him, and he's just like, I'm sorry, and his dad ends up being there, and they end up going to the hospital, and the woman said in the wheelchair said something. I didn't catch it. I had the phone. I was actually holding my phone right in front of me, and I don't know how I missed it, but I somehow missed what she said. Then the dad was basically defending his son, like she said something about his choice of films he's watching, because obviously she saw the name of it. He's like, I think he's going through more, and it's irrelevant with like his film and something like that. His dad was being cool and defending Jim on it, even after what had happened, and And of course, it's really funny. Like the doctor says, he basically says, you can't use your penis for a while. And then of course, the dad pipes up and says, well, he's supposed to have a special guest, and is there anything he can do to make himself heal faster? Like the dad, the dad is definitely cool. He's like helping him completely. He's basically helping him get laid. Yeah, which is pretty fun. And the doctor's just basically like, well, he shouldn't be doing it, but if it's a must thing, this is what he can do, to get better, and it's I mean, Jim's debacles are definitely a huge thing in these movies, as well as Stifler. Something major to be discussed and going to happen to Stifler. Personally, the third movie was the worst. That scene I cannot watch. When next time on my turn when we watch that that one, I'll be turning away again, like I have every time I watch that movie.
I'm sorry, which scene?
The American Wedding. We haven't watched that yet, but yeah, I'm just saying
Oh,
we're gonna do all the movies. Okay, we're gonna do the four main ones. On my next turn, I'm gonna do either the next one or the next two. I'm not sure, which, but yeah. So in America, everything in all the movies, something major happens different. Like I said, the scene in the third one, I think, is the worst. So when we do that movie, you'll see, and it's horrible. It is really fucking horrible. And I know they eat it, but it, I can't with that scene. It is horrible. But anyways, back to this movie. Okay, so I think we're at the point of the party now, the end of summer party. Am I right?
Yep.
Okay. So we're at the end of summer party, and throughout the both parties, Vicky was there, and Vicky first was there the first one, and Kevin, they said friends, and there was a moment where he tries to kiss her, and she's like, "Whoa, it's friends," and he's like, "Oh, I know, it was just a reaction." Obviously, he's not over her. Like, and he acted like he had. Oh, I forgot this part. Like he said, he had three. He was with three women, and she said she was with one. And Steph was like, well, if she said one, it was more like three, because women always say less than what they've had sex with, which I believe is true. And then of course, what's her name is Jessica is saying to Vicky that the opposite, that men always lie, and it's always you got to divide it by three. So it means that it's either one or zero. And it's like none. It's like, yeah, which we find out that it was true that he never had sex with anyone else, because he was still hung up on Vicky. Um, so she ends up saying to his friends that at the big party, she ends up. He thinks that he still has a chance because he hasn't seen her around with a guy and everything, and he sees a guy there, and like he's like, "Can I help you?" And she's like, "He's my date," and he takes off. He's all complete jealous. I completely resonate with that. I understand that one. I've had that feeling before, of thinking I have a shot with a girl and then seeing her with another guy. It was just, I completely understand how Kevin felt, and he just kind of took off. And then they were all like, Kevin took off, and so they all went down to the beach to talk to him. And this is where we find out, yeah, he wasn't with any other woman. He was still. He said, we got to move on to the next step at the end of the last movie, but I never moved on. Um, and he still had the thing um, for Vicky. Um, and he going back, and he apologized to the dude, and then she's like, "Oh, can you give me a minute?" And she talked to him, like, are you really okay? And she's like she wasn't. She's like, maybe I was being selfish, thinking that we can be, friends too, because women are always like, we can still be friends, um, and the guys always say yes because, well, we still want to be with them, and we think being in the friend zone is better than being in a no zone. But when you're in the friend zone, you're usually stuck in the friend zone. As someone who's been stuck in the friend zone to know, yes, you don't usually ever come out of the friend zone, even if you didn't start in the friend zone. And
uh, Oh yeah, that was one thing I didn't understand. If they were kind of together at the end of the first movie, why did they break up and become just friends?
Because she was going off to one college and he was going off to another, and she knew that long distance relationship wasn't going to work.
Ah,
Like she said to Jessica when they were talking, like, she's like, if I don't have sex with Kevin, I'm going to end up having sex with some random guy in college who I don't love and who's just going to use me. And Vicky's just like, yeah, I'm not Vicky. I'm sorry. Jessica was just like, yeah, that's what's going to happen. So that's when she decided she's going to have sex with Kevin, and then she realized, so she had already realized that the first time she was going to have sex was going to be the last time she was going to have sex with him. Unfortunately for him, after her pushing him to say I love you and he finally did, then she breaks his heart. Which they never made it really.
Well, and he thought things were going to stay the same
That's
too. So
what I'm saying. Like it's a comedy, so they never really touched upon this. But she gets him to say I love you. He actually means it, says I love you, and then she breaks up with him. And after they had sex, I completely understand how he feels because I've been there. Like they always talk about women loving, loving love and being romantic and everything, and they never talk about the guy. But Kevin was obviously a romantic. I've been a romantic my whole life, so I completely understood how Kevin felt. Like he was crushed, and he really thought he really still loved her, and he wanted to, when he said he loved her, he meant it. And so even
yep,
though it's better, he still felt it, and she had moved on, obviously, and Tara, she played Vicky was more of a Tara Aiden, who we know in the second movie that we know she was a slut and a big party animal and everything. So we definitely see more like that version of herself in the second movie. And Kevin was still the puppy dog that you know followed her around and wanted to be with her and was still in love with her, like he had said, like she said, "I love you," like without a blink, and maybe she felt that way at the time, but it didn't stay. Whereas Kevin really felt it and meant it, and still loved her. And yeah, so anyways, he ends up apologizing to the dude, and they talk, and he's like, I'm okay, and yeah, you know what, I've dealt with that, and women always want to be friends. They don't want to just lose the friendship. Um, and just about every ex girlfriend I've ever had have all said the same thing. Let's still be friends, and I pretty much always agreed. Um, and including my the last girl I was with. Um, you know, we don't talk quite as often as we used to, but we still talk sometimes. And I mean, I'm cool with us being just friends. But some are very hard. My daughter's mother, on the other hand, we are not friends. I don't think we were friends when we were together. Um, um, it was just yeah, it was an opposites attract type thing, um, and yeah, but that's a whole different story. Um, yeah, so that's a whole other thing. Like I said, I definitely resonated with Kevin a lot in these films, even though he was definitely not the funniest. He definitely wasn't. He wasn't anything special in the movies per se. Like you could definitely do the movies without him, which they ended up doing. Um, in the next one, he wasn't in American Wedding at all, and but even though he was the leader, he still was just kind of a back character. Um, but I really understood how Kevin felt a lot, which it definitely can suck, and I try not to think about it because it's a freaking comedy. I'm trying to have fun and laugh about the movie. So, so we're at the second party, and I did say the scene with him. What is next? Oh yeah, he ends up going to a lighthouse. They end up walking on stones and going to a lighthouse with Nadia, Jim and Nadia, and she's all excited because she gets to maybe actually have sex with him instead of him, um, you know, um, blowing his load early twice. Um, I can see once, but twice wow, that's pretty amazing. Every guy's had an issue once, but twice in a row. I don't know for that one. But so she still wants to be with him, and you know, and they're sitting there, and he realizes is that she's everything, and he says to her, he's like, "Don't take this the wrong way, but you're everything I used to want." Oh yeah, I forgot to say that she came early, and so he calls up Michelle, all like, I don't know what to do. And so she comes up with a plan that they're together, and that they had been dating, and that's why Jim was acting a little weird, because he didn't know what to do because he had a girlfriend, but he still had feelings for her. And so they make up this plan, and then of course they have this big breakup scene where she's like, I don't care if you're the greatest in bed. I'm done. And you smell. No, I smell because I haven't had a shower because we've had sex so much. And I'm breaking up with you. So they have the big breakup scene, which was the funniest breakup scene I think I've ever seen, ever. I've never had a breakup like that. I have had breakup sex, and sex after breakup, um, that ended up having us going back together. But that's the other point. So it was a funny scene, and of course she's watching this, and Nadia's, I guess she just believed the whole thing was true and wasn't staged, even though it really looks staged. But anyways, so Nadia uh, ends up thinking she's gonna get score with him, and then he's like, you're everything I used to want. But now I realize, because she says, tell me a story, and he goes, well, there's one time in band camp, and he stops, and he realizes, oh shit, I'm a band geek. I just never joined the band, and that he has that story, and he tells her, and she laughs, but then he's realized, well, I really want Michelle, like, and you could tell that Michelle wanted him too, but she had just played the part, like she acted like she had no emotions in it, and so for him to show up, and then a little that kid with the glasses was like, "Go away, Peter, you suck!" Like that was just so rude, and he just kind of he hits him with a trombone, knocks him down, which is pretty funny. And then he goes up there, and then that same guy from the first movie was like, um, not the first movie, from earlier in the movie, go Petey, yes, and he just like grabs Michelle, and they start kissing, and then she realized, oh, there's a big audience there, and they're clapping, so they both kind of bow down, and he just kind of takes her away, and then when we see them all at the truck talking, and all of a sudden Stifler's mom shows up. Stifler's like, and he just walks over. He just walks over and says, "Oh, I'm 19 now. I shouldn't be caught up on just one woman and blah blah." And she's like, "Now you're understanding." Like she agrees. Like it's just a sexual thing for her. She's not caught up on him, but she likes him obviously, and so then she's just like, see when I get it on, and he's like, absolutely. And then they're like, what about the hot dog, whatever the name of the hot dog place was that they always ate at, and he's like, give me 3 days, because he says now he's the confident one, like, clear your schedule, you know, and then of course they drive off, and Steph was like, who is that? Like he didn't get a chance to see the car, so he didn't realize it was his mom, even though she says, didn't Stephen tell you that I was coming? And he goes, oh, it must have slipped his mind. Of course Stephen wouldn't have told him, and he didn't, and they're like, oh, it was someone lost and looking for the lake. He's like, what an idiot, the lake's right there. And then I was like thinking, like, yeah, no, you're the idiot for believing that, but and then all of a sudden he's like, wait a minute, where's Shipbreak? And they're like, what? Who is in that car? Because yeah, he kind of realized, oh, it's Steph was gone, and it was probably his mother again. Then we have a scene where we see the car, and they're inside the car talking, and oh yeah, he had asked her name finally. She's like, Janine, and then they have sex, and you hear him say, "Oh, Janine," she's like, "Call me Stifler's mom," and because she obviously likes that, and she he's like, Stifler's mom, and the whole car's shaking, the alarm's going off, and it was pretty funny way to end that, and then while they were driving off, Jim goes, "Oh, how does he get so lucky like that?" And which was kind of weird for him to say, but and then Kevin was like, "Well, yeah, well now you don't have to worry about that. Now you got a girlfriend." Like, yeah, I got a girlfriend. Like, it's amazing to him that he actually has a girlfriend, and of course, Mia shows up to surprise him. There was one. They tried to have phone sex a couple times, and of course, Stifler got on the phone and was acting like an ass, and they saw how they had to stop. And then there was another other time when they were trying, and the guys walk in and drop their, basketball, baseball, all the balls onto her. And she's like, "Can you mind getting your balls off me?" And of course, he's like, "Excuse me, like what's going?" And she's like, basically said, I gotta go. But it was, the guy, we saw what happened. The guys had come back home, and she was on the couch, and they just dropped the bag of balls on top of her. But it was just funny the way she said, "Can you get your balls off of me?" And of course, they meant to do it that way. But yeah, so I really loved her character, and I don't think she looked too young. I really loved it, and I thought it was a shame that she wasn't in the movie much. And then of course she wasn't in an American Wedding at all. Neither was Oz. No, Oz was not in it either. Yeah, Kevin and Oz was not in it at all. Yeah, they kind of split it up and didn't really have everybody in the American Wedding. American Reunion, everyone came back for. So did I miss anything? I think that was pretty much the end of the second one.
Yeah, I think that was pretty much it.
Actually, I have a question that I tried to ask earlier, but you didn't let me talk.
I didn't hear you.
All right,
Really?
what was your question?
About the lesbian or not lesbian women. If at the end in the scene with Stifler's brother, it was implied that those two weren't lesbians after all. But if they weren't, then how come they were doing all that stuff with each other before they saw the guys watching them?
Because that's what some women do, and they might be bisexual.
Ah. Okay, I guess.
They're probably bisexual. Lots of women are.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Well, I think we're kind of at the somewhat end. So what did y'all think about the production then?
I think the production was okay. I mean, with the story being what it is, it's not like it required any CGI or any special effects. Or I don't know, anything too difficult to produce. I think it was okay, nothing to complain about.
Okay. What about you, bro? What did you think about the production of the second movie?
I pretty much agree. It was it's a raunchy, high school or college type movies, and the production in both movies were good. I mean, they all seemed good for the times. I mean, they seemed like they were. I mean, they were. I mean, when they came out, they were at that time, so they definitely seemed like they were at the time. The music was fit to the time period. You know, everything fit to the time. So yeah, production was great in both movies. Like you said, there was no big CGI or anything, and so really it was just matter of the clothes and music and everything. And, they of course got that right. So yeah. So the production was on point. What about you, Dave?
I think the production was pretty good. I mean, they set up the college type because I feel like the first one was like high school and dealing with that type of shit. The second one was dealing with the college experience as well as the party stage of things, the in between, where where some people just don't want things to change and all that jazz. As far as production goes, I think they got everything all covered on all bases, at least as far as that goes. I mean, there's not much. I mean, they had the beachfront, which I thought that house was the beach house was pretty fucking cool. I think they definitely added to the chicks and comedy and whatnot. I think it was pretty on par with everything that needed to be. As far as the music goes, there was a lot of Blink 182 in both films. We'll look at the music for the second one, and then I'll go back to the first one as far as soundtracks go. Let's see. Anomaly Calling Your Name, performed by Libra. Blind Spot by Transmatic. Flavor of the Week by American High Five. Gladiator March. Georgia on My Mind by Hoi Polloi. I used to have a CD by Hoi Polloi. In and Out, performed by Ali D. Hash Pipe by Weezer. Everywhere by Michelle Branch. El Combachero. Spanish Flea. Smooth Criminal by Alien Ant Farm. I actually went and saw Alien Ant Farm live here in Milwaukee. Want You Bad by The Offspring. Another Day in the Life performed by the Toilet Boys. Something Hot by the Afghan Wigs. Hit or Miss by Newfound Glory. In Too Deep by Sum 41. Place in the Sun by Lit. Mrs. Robinson by the Lemonheads.
Right, but originally it was Monkeys.
Correct. Bruise by Oleander. Every Time I Look for You. Blink 182. Last Time Again by Lit. Bring You Down by Left Front Tire. Scumbag by Green Day. I'm Gonna Split the Room in Half by Uncle Cracker. Vertigo by American High Five. Good for a Woman by Alien Ant Farm. Be Like That by Three Doors Down. Cheating by Jettingham. Always Getting Over You by Angela Ammons. Phobic Hates by Phoenix TX. Flying Smoke Screen by Flying Blind. Fat Lip by Sum 41. I love Fat Lip. Susan by The Exit. Halo by Oleander. I Will by Lucia Cifarelli. The Terminator theme. Will I, performed by Pushover. Here's One for You by Witness. Renegade Fighter by Zed. And Go Boy by Pushover. Those were all things that were in the soundtrack. I like the soundtrack. Huge. And then, of course, let's see. In American Pie, looking at their soundtrack. Love Muscle, performed by the Sexorama Band. New Girl by Third Eye Blind. Going to Hell by the Brian Jonestown Massacre. 1 Week by Bare Naked Ladies. Vintage Queen by Goldfinger. At Last by Etta James. I Walk Alone by Oleander. Glory, performed by Sugar Ray. Wishin' by the Loose Nuts, Man with the Hex, performed by the Atomic Fireballs, Stranger by Dave by Shades Apart, Flagpole Sitta, performed by Harvey Danger, Super Down, performed by Super Transatlantic, Do You Believe in Magic, Turn It Around by Five Easy Pieces, Celebrity Skin by Hole, which was Courtney Love's band.
Hole.
Yeah.
The side note on that one, the drummer Samantha, I can't think of her last name, actually toured with Motley Crue when Tommy Lee left the band for a little while. She replaced him, and I saw them in concert with her. She did a damn fucking good job. Now, I was not a Courtney Love fan, was not a fan of Hole at all, but the drummer was pretty kick-ass.
I had their first CD, and unfortunately, because I know the behind the scenes a little bit with Kurt Cobain, and I believe that there was conspiracy surrounding his death. In fact, his death is still.
He died of lead poisoning.
His death was never officially solved.
He died of lead poisoning.
I'll have to send you the unsolved mysteries based on Kurt Cobain.
Don't send me nothing to do with that guy. Nothing. I couldn't stand Kurt Cobain. I'm sorry the dude's dead, but yeah, he killed himself or whatever the fuck happened.
There were some of us who believed he was murdered.
Yeah. I've heard the conspiracy theories. I don't, not to talk ill of the dead. I don't care. I really don't care. I am not a fan. I couldn't stand Nirvana. I am the anti Nirvana. I like every rock music out there, but I could not stand Nirvana. And except there's one song surprisingly I like. I don't know why. But yeah, I definitely am not a fan of Nirvana or of either one of those two. Yeah, so I mean, you can talk about all you want, but as far as you don't need to send me anything, I'm not interested. No offense, I'm not a Nirvana fan, and I'm just not interested.
Well, I like a lot of their songs, so I guess it's touche.
For some reason, "Break Me" is I like that song. I don't know why. I like that song.
Tammy Similar, her favorite is "Lake of Fire."
I've never heard it, or if I've heard, I don't know if it's been on the radio. I might have heard some of it, but it doesn't sound familiar. Now I have heard, I think it was Teen Spirit, done by some girl, and I was like, I think it was in the Suicide Squad movie.
Might have been, or
it was a girl singing the song, and I actually loved the way she sang the song. It was amazing. So the lyrics aren't the problem. It was his voice and the way he didn't sing, or whatever you want to call it. And of course, a lot of people say the same thing about Axl Rose with Guns N' Roses, but I personally loved Guns N' Roses. But yeah, I couldn't stand. I don't know what I know why I originally didn't like Nirvana when they came out. I originally didn't like any old rock alternative band because I did not like the way rock was turning towards this stupid alternative. Because, well, that's the way I felt. I now like alternative, but it took me a while to get there. And Nirvana was like the headline of that, so I think that was the initial reason I didn't even like them. But even after I started liking others, I still never got on the bandwagon. I like them. Now Dave Grohl, of course, was from Nirvana, and I like him. I liked his music and stuff. So I think the band itself was good. It was just mostly Kurt Cobain I couldn't stand it. And unfortunately, I'm very much a vocal. I love the vocalist. I love the singer. I cannot. I can't even. I can't enjoy the music at all if I don't enjoy the singer. And that's just the way it is. and the way I enjoy music. Obviously music is very subjective. One person loves it and one another hates it, and you may wonder why the person that hates it. You know, um, it's like I said, Guns N' Roses. Like Mo can't stand Guns N' Roses. We go on a lot of music, um, but he can't stand Guns N' Roses. For the same reasons I can't stand Nirvana. Um, he thinks that. Well, I agree that Axl Rose does lot kind of scream a lot of his, but I just like the way he does it, you know. Um, Whereas the way Kurt Cobain did it, I just couldn't fucking stand it. So, I also what the hell's his name? The, the one who wrote "Knocking on Heaven's Door."
Uh, wait.
What's his name?
What do you?
I'm not sure either.
The folk singer, Dave. I know you know the folk singer dude. The fucking super famous.
Bob Dylan.
Yeah, thank you, yeah. Thank you, Dave. Yeah, yeah, Bob. I love his writing. Like he writes awesome songs. I can't stand him singing either. Like I just cannot listen to him sing. Now he wrote that, and of course Eric was the first to use it, I believe. And then of course Guns N' Roses used the song. Um, yeah, he wrote it. He was a great writer. I won't take that away from him. But as far as listening to him, oh, I could not stand listening to him sing or not sing, whichever way you want to put it. Um, Again, music is very subjective, right? Um, you know,
Very subjective to definitely a lot of people.
yeah. I mean, that's two. I mean, I definitely say that Bob Dylan was even bigger than Nirvana. Um, but
A lot of people think that Bob Dylan was a very good singer, whereas I haven't heard many
like I
Bob
said,
Dylan
it's very subjective, and those are two very big bands or musicians that people love, and I am definitely completely opposite on. When it comes to music, I don't necessarily go against the grain like I do with everything else. I tend to like popular stuff, like not pop, but popular rock, popular metal, um, more than the garage bands like that nobody's ever heard of. And like I've never really been into local music. The one time I tuned into the local show, because there was a local show with on Sundays. They always played bands from local bands, and the one time I caught it, I was like, wow, this band's amazing. They're gonna be huge. They're gonna be huge. They are fucking awesome. And about a year later, everybody had heard of the band called Godsmack. Yes, I heard Godsmack on the local radio before anyone even knew who they were, before they were big, and I called that they were going to be big. And this was the only time I actually listened to the show. I always turned the channel because I was never interested in local bands. I mean, like call me an ass for being that way or whatever,
Well,
but
yeah, during that time, it was Godsmack, Nickelback, and I would have to say Stabbing Westward was another one that was like in that era of like alternative, you know.
I don't. I mean, I've heard of Seven Westward. I'm not really a big fan. I like Nickelback a lot. Godsmack I put up there as one of my favorite. I'd say new band, but compared to Motley Crue, they are new. Now the funny thing about this, and I don't know if you knew this, but Motley Crue, we should probably shut off the live. By the way, oh,
Um,
we didn't do
we
favorite.
we still have to do the
Okay, let's do favorite scenes and everything, and then I'll tell you the story.
yep.
Um, Dave, what's your favorite scene? And
My favorite scene from the first film would and favorite character would probably be Eugene Levy as his dad. Every time he had the sex speech to his kid, those were fucking hilarious. Yeah. Oh, and when Stifler downed a douche, had that pale ale, that was fucking hilarious. The internet scene, that was funny for a moment, but it's kind of cringy seeing it now. I mean, especially with all the internet shit that goes on when you see it happening into real life chicks, So, um, that being said, I would have to say my favorite character in the second movie is actually Stifler. And his kid brother. For some reason, I just got a kick out of his kid brother trying to take his name, and then
I think the kid brother was funnier in the first movie.
he was funny in the first movie, but the fact that he was trying to be his brother.
I get that. I get that. But I still think he was funnier in the first movie.
Well, he definitely grew up. When he showed his face coming to the beach house, I was like so totally surprised because he had grown up real
yeah, it was pretty quick.
crowded.
It was actually 2 years between the two movies got released. So assuming that the production was probably about 2 years apart too. So yeah, he grew up quick.
Yeah,
the two movies.
Crowded. But as far as favorite scenes go in the second one, I would have to say when he got his penis glued to his fucking hand.
Which is what Tammy was saying was her favorite scene.
Yeah, when he mistook the glue for the lube, that was priceless. And then when he ran out of the house with and stuff, the neighbors saw him, and then of course he had to call the cops. And I was like, I kind of glued myself to myself.
Yeah, well, yeah, that was the second time he said it because he said it on the phone with the poison control, and then he said it again to the cops. Only he had to scream it, and he's like, "I'm sorry."
And then, of course, Stifler was about to go into the emergency vehicle, and he was like, "I'm sorry, sir. Are you family?" No, but this is fucking funny as hell. I gotta see this.
This is fucking hilarious.
So I have to say I did enjoy Stifler throughout the whole entire thing, and the whole fact that they call I know they called him shit house or shit brick. Shit break. The whole fact that he was pining away for Stifler's mother throughout the entire thing, and he found the Kama Sutra, the Tantra book, and he was like learning the Tantra shit and spouting off about Tantra shit throughout the entire film.
Tantra.
I have to say, Shipbrick is a favorite character too, because no one could have pulled off that whole in the first film, that whole potty incident, which gave him his fucking nickname,
No, I mean, Steffler gave him the nickname because every time he had to go to the bathroom, he had to go leave school and take the break, so he had to take a shit break from school. And of course they weren't friends, so.
Well, and it was the girls' bathroom that he had him go to.
No, he gave him the name shit break all way before that.
Yeah, I know, but still, he kind of like grew into his name, So
no, that really had nothing to do with his name. The name was shit break. He had to break from school to go take a shit. That has nothing to do with the school incident. That was a not shit break at that moment because he had to take a shit.
That whole thing with Stifler's mom is like a running gag throughout the entire franchise for Shipwreck. So,
yeah, I can't wait for the next movie so we can say the next one instead of motherfucker. There's a new one. That's even funnier. And I know you know what I'm talking about, Dave, because you've seen it.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Well, you actually said you weren't sure if you saw it all, but I guess you must have seen that scene.
I'm not sure if I've seen it all or not. I've at least seen up to Reunion. I know I have.
Reunion's the last one of the four original. Of the four main ones, Reunion's the last one. It's American Pie, American Pie 2, American Wedding, and American Reunion.
But
But
I
you
guess
said you
that's
hadn't
where
seen
I am as
6,
far
and there's only
as
5 now.
favorite scenes and favorite characters.
Yeah.
So,
Go ahead, Philip.
My favorite character would probably be Jim's dad in both movies. But my favorite scenes for the first movie, it would probably be the scene of Finch fucking Stifler's mother and Stifler fainting at witnessing that. And, and in the second movie, I think it would be the whole thing with Jim's penis getting glued to his hand. Uh, Not only that moment, but also the moment with the police. Oh, and especially the scene at the hospital when the father roasted that woman, that old woman who was shit talking Jim for the videotape he was holding.
Nice.
Thanks.
Yeah, and for me, oh wait, yeah, for the first movie, I have to agree with Dave. Like when he took the sip of the drink, it was disgusting, but the whole scene was just so fucking hilarious. And of course, and also, when um, when Michelle Allison Hannigan was on top of Jim and saying, "Say my name, bitch. What's my name?" You know, that was great, and we can never forget the scene of her saying, "This one time at band camp, I stuck a flute in my pussy." Gotta say it. Favorite scene as well.
well,
As
she stuck a trumpet in his butt.
yes, we never did get that. This one time at band camp story that I got a trumpet stuck up my butt. We never got that story, but yeah, that would have been a funny one too. Um, yeah, so then on in the second movie, yeah, I have to agree with everyone. Him gluing himself to the videotape, and that whole scene of him trying to get it off, and him trying to escape, and then the police showing up, and then him going to the hospital, and the father telling him to lay off. That whole area. I mean, the movie was great, but that was definitely the funniest scene. So yeah, going by that, I guess I have to say Jim's probably my favorite character in the movies because both scenes, all the scenes involved Jim. You know, as much as I like Stifler and the dad and everybody in the movies and some of the women, but Jim really Jim really was the center of the hilariousness in the movies. For the most part, I mean, Stifler too to some degree, more of the this really disgusting stuff. But yeah, Jim was really part of the really funniest parts. And even when I see Jason Biggs in other movies, you know, I still think of him as being Jim. You know, so yeah, I think it's pretty. I'd have to say Jim is my favorite character as well. So those are my scenes and my favorite character. So I think that wraps it up, right? We did music, we did production, we did favorite scenes. So thank you guys for watching us today. And who next week is Philip, right?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yep.
Did you have you? I know the answer is no, but have you decided what you wanted to watch?
Actually, I think I do know. It's that movie Lilith from 2018. Although I watched it a while ago with my friends, but since I announced it at one point, I think we should do it after all. So yeah, I think I'm picking that one.
Okay, I think you had picked that before and you changed your mind, right?
Yeah, I changed my mind because you put the bug into my ear to go for Dark Zone
No, I think it
13.
was before that. I think that was you that changed your mind. I think it was. I don't think that was last week. I mean, last time.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I did change my mind before that too. Yeah, I think that was when I chose Girl Interrupted, if I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah. So that
wrong.
was you that time. And to be fair, when I mentioned about your movie, I was being sincere. I really wanted to watch your movie, so I wasn't actually manipulating you that time. I just wanted to see your movie, and
Well,
I don't
no,
watch movies
of
outside this. So
Of course, that's fair enough. And once again, thank you for your interest in my movie. And that Dark Zone 13 discussion was amazing.
yeah, you're welcome. I really was looking forward to it. So I'm definitely not a fan of B movies per se, and I'm definitely not a fan of Z movies, whatever the hell you want to call them. I mean, they're obviously really, really low budget movies, but I enjoyed that one, and yours was the best one.
Huh. Well, this Lilith movie, I wanted to choose a while ago, and that I'm considering now. That's also a B movie. So okay, I'd like to ask you guys, since I already have watched the movie with my local friends, but I also announced it on this channel. Should we do it, or should we? Rather go for something else. If you,
As I always say, choose what you want to choose, man. Whether I like it or don't like it, choose. I mean, it doesn't have subtitles at least, so that's a bonus.
yeah, it doesn't have subtitles.
Now, when I first went to watch American Pie, for some reason, I got a freaking I don't know, I think it was Japanese. I don't know what language it was, but it was in a different language, and I'm like, what the fuck? And I tried to find it. This was on um, archive.org, which it was so weird that I couldn't even find an English version. I ended up having to go to a different place website to watch it. But yeah, it was weird. They only had the subtitle version. I'm like, I'm not watching this movie in subtitles. Like,
Wait, you had trouble finding American Pie.
no, I didn't really have trouble. I just the first place I started watching it was library.org, and
Archive.org. Yeah,
yeah,
I get
yeah.
it.
I
Huh.
watched a lot of movies from them, and it was just weird. The only version they had was um a I think it was Japanese or Chinese or something. I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah, it was weird. I typed in American Pie and I got all kinds of political things and stuff. I'm like, what? Oh, what the
What?
fuck? Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Seriously.
What? Yeah, I could not find the movie on archive. I found it after I looked, but I was looking on there first, and I was just kind of like, when I can't find something somewhere, sometimes I get like, no, this can't be right. So even though I knew I could find it elsewhere, I was kind of like really wanting to find it there on that site just because I was there already. Kind of being stubborn about it. So once I finally decided, I can't find it, so it's must not be there. Like in Star Wars, and they said if it's not in the Jedi library, it doesn't exist. So it's not in. It's out there. Um, yes, I had to throw Star Wars in somewhere, right? So yeah. Um, yeah, I found it. Um, I almost decided to rent it. And you buy it. Okay, so you can rent it for $3.49 on Amazon, right? Or buy it for $4.99. Like really? It's like really like a dollar and change more to buy it, you know. But then I figured
Yeah.
if I bought